and you basically flush it down the toilet by giving it 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I hit the mic there. But you end up flushing down a little something that has a little bit of a story build to it. You end up flushing it down the toilet with a 2 minute match, and you end up jobbing your faction that you're getting behind, that you're pushing on SmackDown. You have them job to Big Show, Kane, Santino, and Kofi. Now, I can understand that WrestleMania, most of the time, 75% of the time, for most of its history, has been known as the show where the baby faces get retribution, where they win matches and the bad guys, the heels, they lose, and then they go like, oh man, they're supposed to go back and back to the drawing board or whatever. But come on, folks. The core was one of the hottest things, if not is, or should we say now was one of the hottest things on SmackDown and on Raw, when you think about it. But not anymore. Not anymore. Because what happens? Huh? In one night, you kill that hotness, that heat, that momentum that they have. You kill it in 1 second. You kill it. I mean, seriously, folks. How pathetic is that? I mean, again, I can understand giving Big Show what everybody considers a rare WrestleMania win. I can understand giving him a rare WrestleMania win. I mean, that makes it what? WrestleMania 22, first win. Let's see. This year made it 3. So he's basically, 3-8 now? Because he won last year. So now he's 3-8? and you know what? And you know what's funny, folks? You know what's funny, folks, about this? Is by having Vladimir be attacked storyline-wise at WrestleMania Access, I can understand giving people more than they bargained for, or surprising fans with unexpectedness. But having Vladimir taken out on a Saturday morning, I mean, come on, folks. Honestly, on a Saturday morning, you're going to have him taken out? It obviously shows me that you don't have confidence in the guy. But again, getting back to what I'm saying, this again goes back to not giving Rock a time limit. You basically allow a potential match, 8-man tag with a bit of a story behind it that could have gone a little longer. I mean, look at WrestleMania 23. At least they had time to tell a bit of a story. All right? But you basically potentially take a potential story-driven match, 8-man tag, and again, you flush it down the toilet. And not only that, folks, but you end up demobilizing and demomentalizing four of your highest young rising stars in your company. That's stupid, folks. Absolutely stupid. Oh, and you think that's the biggest con, biggest downside to Mania, one of the biggest problems. Now, another big problem, the anonymous GM. You didn't just have him involved with one match. You have him involved with the main event? I mean, honestly, I saw Teddy Long back there with Snoop Dogg, and I can understand him being in a segment, but he was in one segment. That's understandable. That's forgivable. But the anonymous GM doing it twice? Bullshit. I mean, here's what I would do if I was Vince. And if Vince doesn't correct it, I pray to God Stephanie McMahon and Triple H correct this. But if I was Vince, or if I'm them, when they take over finally, all I could say is I would have never put the general managers on this show. I would have just said it's about the superstars, it's about the action in the ring, and that's it. And then one of the other bigger problems that people have, one of the other bigger problems that some people have is Snooki's match. Now, some people have agreed online that they were surprised Snooki had some athleticism at the end of that match and that she got the pinfall and win. Again, this goes back to when I was doing my predictions, and I think anybody would agree with this. This goes back to the fact that if you want to keep celebrity involvement in WrestleMania continuing, you want to make sure the celebrities win. That's what you want to do. So anyway, some people had a problem with this because this was like the second to last match of the night. Okay, first of all, I understand that that's a problem. And I do agree that the second to last match should have probably been maybe Triple H and Taker, or maybe Edge and Del Rio. I understand that. I can respect that. That should have been one of the second to last match. But instead, what do they do? What do they do? They give it to Snooki, Morrison, Trish, LayCool, and Dolph. Okay. Here's the thing there. Again, I know it's a problem. I know that's one of the problems that Mania had, according to many. But here's the thing. You got to look at it like this. WWE's paying Snooki a lot of money to do what she did, to participate in the match. And on the positive side, you got to look at this. At least they're not shelling out more money than they have to, like TNA has done. I mean, TNA is basically going to bankrupt themselves by bringing in former and current Jersey Shore stars. Snooki being in WrestleMania for one show, for one match, no big deal. But again, I can understand that the problem that a lot of people had with it, and they consider one of the problems of Mania, was it was the second to last match. I can understand that. I can also understand that many feel as though Triple H and Undertaker should have been the last match. Should have been the main event. Should have been the one that ended WrestleMania. But if you watch my review, you'll look at the title, and I put in a parentheses, if you will. I asked the question, The Rock's show? Because I put WrestleMania 27 review, and in parentheses I ask the question, The Rock's show? Basically what I mean by that, folks, is was this basically a show to try to kind of cooks The Rock, or kind of sweet talk The Rock, or lure The Rock back into the ring, back into WWE competition? Was this the reason? Was it the reason we opened with him and then we ended with him? Because I will say this. Another problem a lot of people have, and I'm sorry if this is in multiple videos or multiple parts videos, another problem people had was Rock basically helped Miz retain the title like a lot of people thought. But instead of ending it with Miz on the posing with the championship and the fireworks going off in the background and all that, or the pyro going off in the background, we didn't have none of that. We didn't have no pyro going off at the end. Instead, we had Rock standing on one of the top turnbuckles, and that was it. And they ended the show like that. So, to many people, that made the WWE Champion, The Miz, look weak. It made him look weak. So to a lot of people, that was the problems that they had with. That was one of the major problems, and they always had a few backstage promos with The Rock. I mean, they had a backstage promo with Rock, Mae Young, Eve, and Rock and Stone Cold. Then they had a backstage promo with Rock, Mean Gene, and Pee Wee Herman. I mean, again, Vince has to realize if you're going to make a decent show, and I'm not saying it wasn't a decent WrestleMania. It was. It was a 7.5 out of 10 WrestleMania. That's the point average I gave it. Grade wise, if I was to go by letter grade wise, I'd give it a B plus. Not a B plus. I'd give it a B. Let's put it like that, a B. I'd give it an average B, a solid B. That's what I would give it. But it was a 7.5 out of 10 show, decent show. But again, if Vince doesn't do something now, hopefully Stephanie or Triple H, when they take over, they'll do something to fix this. But when you bring someone like The Rock back to host an event like WrestleMania, you got to give him a time restraint. And don't promo so much on the guy, okay? I mean, we had a hostess for WrestleMania 24, and guess what? You didn't keep going back and forth with her. I mean, again, the biggest problem people had, one of the biggest problems was, The Rock ended up making Miz look weak as a champion. Now, honestly, was I happy Miz won? Yeah, I'm sort of happy Miz won because at least it shows the WWE has confidence in Miz to still be champion, at least maybe for one more month. You'll probably understand what I'm saying by that. But again, the problems people have had with WrestleMania, the problems fans have with WrestleMania are, one, you opened up the World Heavyweight Champion. Match-wise, you open up WrestleMania with the World Heavyweight Championship. Bad idea. Second of all, they don't put a time restraint on The Rock, and he takes up what potentially is 6 to 7 minutes of what could have been a United States Championship match and causes it to be a dark match. 3, you take a potential story-driven 8-man tag and shorten it into a 2-minute match, once again, to The Rock, taking up a lot of the time. 4th, people had a problem with the anonymous GM. And I honestly admit, this was the major problem that this should never happen. You shouldn't have had the anonymous GM popping in and out. I mean, once in one night I can handle. I can understand. Twice, no way. And then the 5th problem people had was the fact that Snooki's match was the second to last match instead of the world title match or the Triple H Taker match. And then the 6th and final problem people had was the fact that Rock was basically the one standing triumphant at the end of Mania when it went off the air. Basically, after he handed the WWE Championship match to The Miz, and instead of letting The Miz end the show looking strong and pyro going off in the background, it's just The Rock. So, again, folks, these are just problems that a lot of fans, including myself, I will admit, had with WrestleMania. Overall, in my opinion, it was a B grade-wise, letter grade-wise. It was a B average show. Point-wise, it was a 7.5 out of 10 show. So, but again, these are problems fans had with WrestleMania. And that's all I'm going to say about it. Give me your opinions. Tell me what you guys think. And I will talk to you all later.